right on time, as usual, of course, as it is always right now. It possibly cannot be any other time. Welcome to our adventure. Welcome to Fishing Without Bait and Full Impact Mindfulness. There are no entrance exams or letters of reference. There are no tests, no comparisons with others, and the only homework is to challenge yourself. If you're finding life particularly heavy going, feeling loaded down, and if you're restless, irritable, and discontent, perhaps you have the lenses in your glasses reversed and can only see the negativity or living your life on wishes and hopes. You found a place where synergy and synchronicity are combined, and where we actually show you how to make magic, abracadabra, creating what you speak. Not necessarily material things, however intangibles no currency can purchase. Let us help you help yourself to fully participate in your life. Let's use the power of your mind and its energy to learn to think not from our thoughts, but rather at them, and become a butterfly emerging from the chrysalis. Think back to Dorothy when she landed in Oz and opened the door to a world of color. Come with us, detach and untangle, identify and describe, and live a life without definitive expectations. Explode into our world of full impact mindfulness. Open the door to your authentic self and let the adventure begin. Welcome to another podcast of Fishing Without Bait, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend, co-host and producer of this program, Mr. Mike. Mr. Mike, today we're going to talk about people who always insist that they are right. Do you run into many folks like that?
Sometimes in my own household.
And tell me, how does that work for you?
Oh, usually I lose.
However, in past episodes, we've talked about there's a difference between arrogance and confidence. We've talked about the difference between being willful and willing. When we're talking about people who have an obsession with being right. Obsession with being right. However, this podcast is not about dealing with these type of people. It's about dealing with yourself. Tell me, Mike, are you embarrassed when you're wrong?
Yeah, usually, because I like to present myself as a little bit of the expert in a lot of situations.
Right. However, what's that all about?
Well, I guess it's pride and fear of being found out.
There we go, our old friend, fear. So it's about having to be right and insisting that we're right actually is dealing with our own insecurities. By being right, we feed ourselves and make ourselves feel better. So, Mike, how often do you preface a remark, or have you heard someone preface a remark with, "This may sound stupid," or "This may be a dumb question"?
Oh, all the time. And usually, especially when we're kind of teaching people, there's a lot of, hey, there's no stupid questions here. All of us have asked that question at a time.
So, Mike, really, you've heard this old line that the only stupid question is the one that is not asked.
Absolutely.
The reason that we fear to expose ourselves as having a mind of uncertainty. We often talk about on our program about turning a mind of uncertainty into a mind of awareness and a mind of knowledge. And however, how are we going to turn that mind into a mind of knowledge or awareness unless we ask? And if the individual that is answering you looks down on you or condescendingly gives you the answer, whose issue is that?
It's their issue.
It's their issue. So again, we're dealing with our old friend fear. Our fear of being embarrassed, our fear of being viewed as less than in someone else's eyes. And remember, that's all ego-based. So Mike, how attached are you with how your ideas are received?
I want to be right and worried about that embarrassment and being found out that I'm not.
Right. So the idea is that you're putting yourself out there and making yourself a bit vulnerable. However, there are other ways to assuage your ego. And Mike, referring back to those power words in a previous podcast, and we continuously use those and challenge people to incorporate them in their life. And those words are, I am and I choose. and by determining what's really important in your life. Is it really that important that the person you're talking to validates your ideas as the best ever? I don't think so.
No, you should really watch how much weight you put in other people's opinions in those situations.
Indeed. So, Mike, would you want to win an argument at the cost of a relationship, of a friendship?
Oh, certainly not.
How often do relationships end people arguing over, as we look at things in perspective, trivial matters?
Especially these days with certain, the environment these days, right? Political, religious, whatever the case may be, that's happening more and more, you know.
So we can agree to disagree, and our society seems to place so much of an effort on being right. One of the most befuddling questions that an interviewer can ask is, "Tell us about a time you failed." Has that ever happened to you, Mike?
Yeah, it's one of those kind of personality questions, right? Can you identify your faults?
Right. Identify the time you failed, and what they're asking you is how you turned a negative into a positive.
Mm-hmm.
So we come to this by indoctrination. Though, so think about our education system, think about the school. The focus is on getting the right answer rather than learning how to think. So the idea is teach to the test so they can parrot these answers back. Mike, are we preparing a generation of thinkers or a generation of Jeopardy contestants?
That is a good question. Do you? I guess it's book smart versus life smart, right? Street smart. It's can I memorize all these facts or can I actually live?
Right. So remember, intelligence is the ability to learn to think through situations. I'm going to challenge everyone out there to be an active listener. Be an active listener to others, and not only to others, but to themselves. Be mindful of the words that are coming out of your mouth, and look at the intention. What is the intention on asking this question? Is it the intention to build my ego, to assuage my ego, or is it the intention to actually learn something? So we're a society of debaters, are we not? And in debaters, and in a debate, there's expected to be a winner and a loser, is there not?
Absolutely.
Well, my challenge out there to everyone to develop a new form of debating where each side actually hears the other, identifies the common ground, and perhaps a compromise could be reached. And that's my challenge. That's my challenge for a new debate system where a compromise can be reached by listening to each side. So, let me ask you, how can we win by losing, Mike? Our magic math, addition by subtraction?
Oh, you can win by losing an argument but learning something new.
Indeed. And getting back to my origin story when I talked about my great uncle Harry back in the Depression, when people were coming into him and returning the merchandise that they'd bought from his department store because they couldn't pay for it. And he put an advertisement in the paper saying that he forgave all debts, both business and personal. So many and he lost his business. So many people would think that he lost everything, wouldn't one? His answer to that was it was the right thing to do.
Absolutely. You create kind of a different kind of equity than money.
So is respect and honor worth more?
Definitely, because those people will come back when the opportunity perceives itself.
So would you rather be an individual of honor or an individual of wealth?
What gets you further?
Indeed. Indeed.
I often we have this conversation a lot in my business. We're like, hey, are we making enough money off of the things we do? But I'm more interested in doing things the right way, and that will put us over in the end.
I'm thinking of another addition by subtraction and winning by losing is that I remember a episode of Laverne and Shirley a long time ago that was back on, showing my age a little bit. And Laverne somehow thought she got pregnant. Okay. And Lenny and Squiggy, the two people who lived upstairs, were close friends of theirs. And they were very concerned about her. So Squiggy came down to her apartment and sat with her and said, Lenny and I drew straws, and I'm going to marry you. I'm going to make this thing right. And Laverne looked at him and he said, oh, you lost. And he says, no, I won. So the idea is that we can win by supposedly losing. So we're going to end this podcast with a quote by Dr. Wayne Dyer, who said, "If you have a choice between being right and being kind, choose kind and you'll be right every single time." That's my challenge out there for everyone today. Put aside the trappings of this world, put aside the materialism, and find out what's really important to you. That's my challenge to everyone. Do a kindness for yourself, do a kindness for another, forgive yourself, and forgive another till all are free, none are free. Namaste.
Please check out our website at fishingwithoutbait.com, where you can listen to the show, comment on our discussions, and find out where you can subscribe to our podcast. If you're interested in flying the colors of Fishing Without Bait, click the shop icon on our website. We have clothing, mugs, cell phone cases, and so much more. Show the world that you fish without bait. This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com.